Hello and welcome to the Nonsense Chronicles. This is Dxllhxvse, and as always, to my right
now,
to my right,
Rob Mendiola.
Hey Rob,
How's it going, Doug?
fun day Sunday.
Fun day Sunday. Yep, doing the usual podcast work.
Yep, getting
Got some family in,
putting family in and
friends,
and putting episodes in the bank.
Yeah, we got maybe one, I think.
Yeah, no, so
we don't have a bunch in the bank.
We need to restock since we traveled a little bit.
So I'll be doing some podcast editing later.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely can do that, and I think this is the last day for us that we're not gonna have. We're gonna have rain for about the next week, which I'm all for.
That's what it says. But this is Texas, man, so it can change.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I don't want anybody to drown, but I don't want my grass to die.
That's right.
Yeah.
You've seen mine. It's already out of control again.
I saw that.
Yeah.
You'll be moving that truck out of that grass real quick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, today.
Special day.
Yeah, we have a guest on today. We were going to have these people on right before we got hit by a hurricane, so we had to reschedule. Yeah, they called us last minute and canceled. I mean, come on,
that was
now.
smart.
Yeah, but no,
it was a bad one.
Yeah, it kind of had to happen. But so I'm gonna let you introduce since my memory is
today. We have Candice and Matt Harrell joining us.
Hello.
On the couch, on the blue couch.
Hello and welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
More than welcome. This is we like to, we're not tied to any subject, but we end up doing a lot of music and some food, but we want to go everywhere. I don't want any constraints on us as far as what we can talk about.
We've done some off the wall things.
Yeah, and some of the stuff has been some of the things we've done have been
we've had detectives, paranormal people, seismologists.
Yeah,
we've kind of been scattered.
Yeah,
but today, what are we doing?
Today we are talking not about Danny Boone's band Rehab.
No,
but we're talking actually about rehab itself.
Yeah.
And I can say that, I don't know any human being on earth that hasn't been around somebody who's had addiction problems. I have sat in, it's been a long time, but I've sat in family weeks with friends and family.
Yeah, I think it affects everyone, no matter.
Yeah, over the years.
If you're that or this, it just affects everyone.
Yeah. And I've spent a lot of time in there, and I do have when I have friends that go through this, and we're going to get in this once you start talking, that I'll bounce off stuff. At the end of the day, my belief, and we're getting ready to have hers, and I think it's whatever it gets, but my belief is, it's bad. I mean, what Purdue Pharmacy them did with the drugs in it, man, it was sick. But at the end of the day, each person on this planet has to be responsible for pulling their own self up. Because if you don't do it, it's never going to get. Nobody else can do it for you, And
it's easier for some, harder for others.
Yeah, it is. The steps, the ladders that they climb, it's the rungs going to be different for each person. What helps them get up? You can have encouragement. I believe in that, but I'm also very cautious around it because, boy, the trust level. Yeah, my track record on.
But that's just a part of our world, man.
That is definitely a part of the world. So that's why we have somebody here today who can tell us from the aspect of all kinds of aspects and focuses on it.
Yeah. So I don't really know where to start.
Anywhere.
But I guess I can
tell us your story.
I can kind of go back.
Yeah.
I grew up in an alcoholic home. I was introduced to things at a super young age, not just alcohol, but like sex, drugs, different things that a 5-year-old shouldn't be aware of, right? And I endured a lot of death by the time I was 19. My mom died when I was 11. I was put in the CPS system. My aunt thankfully adopted me. Once I moved in with her, didn't know, from the outside looking in, it's like I thought she was like walked on water. She was like this churchgoer and took really good care of my cousin, and they had this picture perfect family. And so once we moved in with her, didn't know that she actually had struggled with heroin addiction.
Oh, wow.
And what I realized pretty quickly after moving in with her was she was struggling with my mom's death so bad that she had reverted back. And this is a prime example of untreated alcoholism and what in the recovery world, what we call it is being dry, like sober on self-will, no, higher power, no reliance, no service, nothing, right? Just sober on self-will. And that's what she was. She was a self-will run riot. So eventually it caught back up to her and she reverted back, right? And she had Hep C and developed cirrhosis of the liver and wound up dying. By this time I have my first kid. I'm 16 and I have my first daughter. We were really allowed to do whatever we wanted to do. We had boys spending the night. Whatever. It was a free for all for like starting at 14 years old. And once she died from cirrhosis, I was just kind of this nomad with this kid, like living wherever. So at the time it was the father of my daughter's sister's house and they were alcoholic and they were drinking. So I say all of these things, like I add all of this stuff up to explain why I didn't actually know that the way in which I drank was an issue, right? Like I was surrounded by it for so long and I certainly didn't know what rehab was. I certainly didn't know what being in recovery was. And I didn't actually know that people stopped because nobody around me ever had and nobody questioned the way in which I was behaving and the way in which I was drinking, right? And so moving forward, by the time I'm 21, I have 3 kids. Now my sister has been murdered when I'm 19. She was a murder-suicide. That was like a tipping point for me. And I, at this time, in this small little window from 16 to like 21, I'm just drinking. And eventually that transferred into taking pain pills. I can recall back when I was 16, having my first kid being put on Demerol. I can recall like what we call the physical allergy. I can recall it setting off, meaning I wanted more and more. And I felt a sense of relief in that moment, having been given that substance, that everything was fucking okay. Like for the first time in my life, I felt what we call relief, right? I'm in this constant state of discontentment, right? As an alcoholic, as a true blue alcoholic, I'm in a constant state of discontentment. So give me the alcohol, give me the drugs. And I have this form of relief that I had never experienced before, right? But at the time, it wasn't accessible or whatever the case may have been. And so alcohol was just the next best bet. By the time I'm 21, I'm on pills. And what I can tell you about that experience was, unlike alcohol, I didn't have the hangover the next day. And my kids didn't drive me crazy. I was able to clean my house. I was able to function. Like life was really good and nobody knew. So I thought, right? It was like this game of I can get the relief that I need, right? And nobody questions it. Because I feel like around that time, I was dating a guy who is not the father of any of my kids, right? I'm dating him. And he gave me the impression that he had an issue with the way in which I was drinking, because I was pretty blackout drunk, like pretty often. And I was like, cool, so I'll just like do this thing, right? And I'll be left alone.
And you did that hidden?
No, he did it too.
Oh,
so that's where I got the pills.
Well, that's cool then.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, that's right. That's right. But so what's so funny about that particular relationship is it ended over the pills. And it ended because I wound up consuming more than he did. And it was kind of this constant fight where it was like, you're taking more pills than me. It's like this constant.
What have we devolved to?
It's like
now you're the bad one, right?
Yeah. Like two addicts, but like definitely I was the worst kind of thing, and that was a nightmare of a relationship where I wound up kicked out of that house several times, sleeping in my car with my kids, doing a lot of different things. But at the ass end of that relationship, I lost my kids. So my son has one dad. My daughters have the same dad. And my son was taken through the court system with his dad. His dad fought me in court. And I say fought me, but I actually didn't even go to the court date because it had progressed so bad to the point where I was at this time living in a trap house with my kids and the same guy, the guy that introduced me to the pills. And I met up with his dad for him to pick him up for the weekend. and I was served with papers. I didn't go to court. I have not had a relationship with my son since that day. He was 4 years old. He just turned 16.
Wow.
So after that, I actually called my girl's aunt on their dad's side because I don't have family. It's not like I had like a fallback plan. Like my parents were like going to rescue me. Like everybody's dead. Like I don't have a fallback plan. So I called her and I was like, hey, I just need a year. Can you just give me a year? Like take the girls. They need, they need stability. I can't give that to them. I'm really down and out. Of course, I'm not like admitting, hey, like I'm a total drug addict and like, but I'm like, hey, I just like need help. And she did. She picked them up, signed a notarized letter, did whatever I needed to do to, make sure that she could get them in school. Yeah. And do all of that. And 1 year turned into 4. In the 4 years without my kids, I spiraled really, really bad. And it will probably bring me to tears just thinking about it, just because life is so different today, right? Like life is not the same as it used to be. But in that 4-year period of time, I had been beaten really bad by another guy that I got with. SWAT came and got him. Like it was
wow.
There was a lot
Pretty
of
serious.
details. I was like held against my will by him for 2 weeks and beaten and all kinds of different things. I moved in with my drug dealer, who happened to become like my best friend. She actually made me move in with her. She was like, yo, like you have like a really big fucking problem. Like you should probably come live with me and everything's going to be great. It wasn't. I sold pills for her. And so then I took the pill. It was a bad situation. And God rest her soul, she's dead now from an overdose. But she actually convinced me to go to rehab for the first time. Again, at this time, I like don't know. I'm not super, with it in terms of like sources of like recovery and what that looks like. I certainly don't know what any 12-step programs are. I don't know what rehab is, but I'm like, whatever the fuck, I'll go. And so I go to a state-funded rehab, and I met my husband while I was in rehab. I had gone to a church for people in recovery and met him there. He was in a sober living. I was in the rehab. And
Wait, now, time out.
yeah.
Okay, was he in rehab? Now, look, I don't know if our listeners, which I'm sure they do, here's the part where I go off. I've been waiting for I shouldn't have taken off during the song, because like this has been like hit me in the head. Like the first rule that they tell you, never, and God damn it, I mean never, ever date somebody that you were in rehab with.
Yep.
And the reason why it came up.
Is that a legitimate rule?
Oh God, yes. And
Unspoken rule.
I mean,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
congratulations, because how long y'all been together?
10 years.
Like, and they're not,
And they're awesome.
and they're awesome, and this is fantastic. And look, boys and girls out there, I'm telling you that this is the extreme example of its environment, because people are not. And the problem with the drunk, the addict, or whatever the user, they think, like Rob and us were talking yesterday, this is, hey, we're going through the same thing, so we know it. We know that is the excuse that you will use, and that you think that's all right. We had a friend last year that I didn't realize. I thought she was just a little slow sometimes in the morning. It's somebody I love. It's a friend, and I did not know that she was like just pounding straight vodka at like 8 a.m. And I couldn't believe it. But the thing was, she ended up going to rehab. And I'm so glad, because I told her mom, I said, I think this is like, when I think of this song, She by Dxllhxvse, I think of that, because she sees herself as doing so good. But in reality, she's fallen. And
Guess you can fool yourself if you're that
and she
out of it.
She went into rehab. The guy that she was seeing, and they have a kid together. I love both of them. I told him, I said, look, doesn't matter if y'all last forever, but you got to be a parent, because, man, that's so important. If you can do that, you can be in that kid's life. But I did not know that she had those problems and eventually it was becoming endangerment. But she went in. I was so glad that she went in rehab. But she went in and she met somebody, and she ended up moving in with this guy. And a lot of people, I thought some people, now look, I don't know where they were coming from on something, but like she knows me, and I didn't want to be ugly when I posted it. She posted it on Facebook when I found out about this. I'm like, I said, person, I said, I was ugly, but I think I was direct ugly, knowing that she knew exactly what was me. I said, you can put a 30-second egg timer on how long this relationship is going to last. It's the first thing that they tell you in rehab is these people you've been with, do not date.
But it probably happens more often. What do you
Oh,
think?
I mean, it happens a ton.
Oh, don't worry. I've got a jump scare for you.
Okay.
So don't
Yeah.
worry. Just because we're together now does not mean that it was like rainbows and sunshine. We're getting to
Sunshine,
the
lollipops. Yeah, no, it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and it eventually it did happen to her, and I saw her after she moved back to Texas, and I was like, gave her a big hug, and she knows I love her. I really, but look, I have had, around people I love and care about. I've gone up to young people and that have messed around with other people that I love and care about, and told them. I pulled them aside. I said, "You need to get your ass together." I said, "You're killing these people that we care about." I said, "You need to go away. You need to go away like 3 to 5 years." And nobody else was going to be in this group was going to be that tough, but I was. And I mean, to me, I said, because I had already done the soft spoon approach, like being up in Minnesota and finding out that somebody had broke into somebody's house, and I was 1,000 miles away. I was going into my first Metallica show, and I was like, and I think I got I got out of that show that night, and I think I posted an angry Facebook post that said, so and so and so and so, you better hope that the police catch you before I have a chance to get back to Louisiana. And but yeah, no, it's real, man. It's a tightrope walking with people that you care about. You can, if you give too much with it, guess what? You're going to get a hit over the head. I told this person's mom, and she asked why I was so hard on this person, and I wasn't. I wasn't the 50 times before, but I was hard. I said, we having a conversation, but when we went in there, I said, me and the kid, I said, we're having a conversation, but I'm doing the talking and you doing the listening. And I was very straightforward about this. I said, when I said, you need to go away and all that. And I said, look, I love this person, but I said, I cannot have toxic in my life. If I am going to be a strong person, I guess this is for any human being, or especially, an addict too, I've got to make myself strong. When I am strong and at my best, it radiates to people that I love and I'm around. And
I think that goes for everyone, right?
Yeah, I would assume so. But yeah, boy,
I'm toxic enough for everyone.
Oh yeah,
I try to keep it under control too.
But yeah, I mean, look, it's not that I don't love these people that are not toxic, but I'm not going to engage myself and put them on the trust tree and say, hey, take my life string and run as far as you want with it. Because no, it's not there. You build yourself back up. You don't have to prove anything in your life, but to you. But for me, for my safety, and I'm just doing. That was my little selfish input on what you said, but I could just ramble on about it. But yeah, when they told me that y'all were, I got far off that base, but when they told me that y'all were together out of rehab, but
so what's sober living? Like, how does that work?
So sober living. So we were not in rehab together. So he was in a house. Sober living is just a sober house you live at, you work, you do life.
But you're not. But you're not far out of rehab. I mean, you haven't been gone for 50 years.
No, God no.
Right off the step.
No, God no. So he was in rehab, and his
So
sober
he finished
house.
his.
Yeah, he was in sober living. His sober house went up to the church because, like I said, it's like a service. Like, I mean, currently it's like a service that they do, right? And so he went, and my rehab, we call it the druggy buggy, right? But they took us on the bus up to it's called Mercy Street. So, and I can disclose that. That's not breaking any traditions, but we met, and it just seemed like the most fantastic idea in the world. I have no place to live when I get out of rehab. I don't even own a phone. I do not have my kids. I do not have a vehicle. Like, it's bad, right? But in my mind,
Starting from the bottom.
Oh yeah, but in my mind, it's like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. Well, I'll tell you what that great idea wound up looking like. I got out of rehab. I also went to a sober living house. I was not there very long before I was smoking crack with the guy I met at Mercy Street, and eventually we are on heroin together.
Wow.
And that very quickly turned into homelessness. And we lived under a bridge together for a year.
Wow.
Oh, wait. Now, let me actually interrupt because I'm a classic interrupter.
Yes, he is.
Is this the part where we talk about women being a heroine? This is not the good part like that, huh?
Not that one. Not that one, Doug.
No, sorry.
No. It was interesting being homeless. And I just kind of want to touch on homelessness for a second because I feel like it's part of my story that I don't share often enough, and simply because where I got sober at, we don't particularly like to focus on, what it was like because it sets us apart, right? Like I'm in the business of helping a lot of people, right? And I don't want to set myself apart from them or become unrelatable, right? But so I want to touch on homelessness for a second and what that actually looked like. So homelessness and drug addiction is very odd, right? Like drug addiction is odd all in itself, but then you add in the homelessness and you become comfortable. There is this level of comfort knowing that like the only thing that I have to do today is wake up, go stand on the side of the road and hold a sign in order to, feed this habit, right? Like there's this level of freedom in that. As odd as that sounds, because it sounds a whole lot like it's a fucking prison. But the truth is, it's like we got comfortable. I'll never forget, like getting up. We had a routine. Like Matthew would get up and he would go down to the bridge first. He would give me a shot of dope and I would do a shot of dope and I would like get up and put my clothes on and like pack all of our things up and put it in this little nook that we had up there under the bridge. And then I would meet him down there and we would do this thing. Like we'd shoot dope and smoke crack all day long. And then when it like the sun was going down and money kind of slowed down for the day, it was you ready to go home, and literally saying that. Right. And so when you're homeless, it's the willingness to stop becomes almost non-existent because you've gone so low at this point that it's kind of like, fuck it, and so this family started coming out there and like feeding us like home cooked meals. And they kept saying they were from a church, but it was odd because all the people that came from churches came and brought us like Ziploc baggies with like fucking crackers and of course their church information. And they're like, come on Sunday at blah, blah, blah time. Right. And like maybe a pair of socks, whatever. But these people were really different. And they just kept coming out there. And they used to drive me nuts because they would come out there and they would literally walk across the street and come over there where I'm holding a sign and like make me miss like 5 lights. And I'm like, yo, like, I don't think you understand what being dope sick is. Like, this is serious, right? But they never stopped. They were really persistent. They never did stop coming out there. And they finally asked me, like, do you want something different? Do you want to do something different? And I'll never forget my response. I was like, I do, but he doesn't. Right? Like I do, but he will die out here. And that's just the reality of it. And I can't leave him. Like, never mind the kids that I didn't have, never mind any of those other things. Like he was all that mattered in that moment. Right. And eventually they just stopped coming. And I'll never forget waking up one morning, dope sick, just terribly dope sick. And I told Matthew, I was like, I'm done. Can't do this anymore. I'm done. Do you have their number? Because they had given us their number on a card and he lost it. So I'm walking down to go to the light where I'm going to stand, and I look over and I see 2 people that lived in their house with them, another couple that they had also rescued, pull up to the light. When I tell you like the run to that car, like I think I was already crying by the time I saw them. And they pulled over to a McDonald's that was across the street. And I told them, please tell so-and-so, I won't disclose their names, but please tell them tomorrow night at 9:00 to come and pick us up. Because it wasn't like I needed one more shot of dope. Like I was not.
One more for the road.
Oh yeah. I was going out with a bang. Like there's, and sure as shit, they came that night at 9:00.
Wow.
They picked us up. And so the idea was that we were going to go into a detox. Like they were going to find us a detox to go to, but somehow or another, like no state funded detoxes had beds. And so the next morning they were like, we prayed and we believe that God's telling us to keep you here. And we stayed. no matter how many times Matthew tried to escape, and he really did. There was like this made up pair of black skinny jeans at his mom's house that he had to have. But what the reality was is he knew that his Aunt Debbie had pills. And so he was going to go steal them.
Sure.
And so, but we did. We stayed. At this time, now that I'm sober, because like here's one of the things that happens to people when they first get sober. They get on fire and they think that they are all better, like immediately. Like they have this like 30-day, like, oh my God, everything's great. I'll never do that again. It's wonderful. Life is great. And they get ahead of themselves. And I did that. And so now I'm like, yo, I'm like 30 days sober. That's a long fucking time. And in reality, it is. Like, I'm not going to discount the fact that like even a week sober, right? Like for a real deal alcoholic, like that's a big fucking deal, right? But
yeah, I heard Fergie say one time, somebody said, you used to be an addict. She goes, no, I'm an addict.
Oh, yeah.
Every day.
Every
For
day.
life.
Every day.
Yeah.
Like it's a big
It
deal.
is.
Yeah. And so 30 days in, I'm like, yo, I'm going to go get my kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going to go get them right now. Well, never mind the fact that I had a CPS case, right? Never mind the fact that, like, I don't have access to these kids. But in my mind, I'm just going to go pick them up from school. I'll just go take them out of school. Like, it's no problem. The case is closed. And
That's why we see all the Amber Alerts and stuff, right?
Yeah. Like,
We saw one yesterday.
Yeah.
We were talking about that.
It's very real. Like the desperation to like have
is
those
desperation.
kids. To have those kids back was so real. And so I remember like going up to their school and trying, and like their grandma came up there because by this time they live with their grandma, who is like terrible, abusive. Like it's bad. Mm-hmm. Grandma comes up there, shuts the whole thing down. I'll never forget going back home and having this moment where I finally found God. Like I had this surrender moment where I was like, just make them okay. Even if you don't give them back to me, make them okay. I have to
leaving it in his hands.
Yeah, like I have to be sober with or without them, and I know that. And I just asking for you to make them be okay and make this okay. Help me stay sober. I fucking kid you not. 2 weeks later, I got a call at 9:00 at night from their aunt telling me to go get my kids.
Wow.
After having gone to lawyers shutting doors in my face, telling me you don't stand a chance. You'll never get these kids back. Now, mind you, this is just my girls. Mm-hmm. But I got a call 9:00 at night for us to go and get them. I had to get the cops involved. It was a 2-hour ordeal sitting in a parking lot of an apartment complex, them doing all of the research to find out the case had actually been closed and that I did not lose my rights to my kids, and my kids were given back to me. So I'm seeing these moments, right? Like, here's where I'm going to give you like the meat and potatoes of recovery. I'm seeing these moments, these God moments, right? Where I'm like, man, God's like really cool. God's really good, blah, blah, blah. The reality for an alcoholic is we call it back problems. I got a lot of shit back really fast, right? Where I was cool with God as long as I got X, Y, and Z. Like I had this relationship and this reliance as long as I got X, Y, and Z. And then at some point, I stopped relying. Now, I was able to maintain 3 years of continuous sobriety in that 3 years, but I did relapse. I did go back out, and I was out for 2 years.
Wow. That's a long
That's a long time, yeah.
I was out for 2 years.
Because a lot of times people will step back, but then, because it does happen. You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it happens more often than we think. What I didn't quite understand when I went back out was I was like, I was doing all the right things. I was going to the meetings. I was doing all of the things, right? Like I had a sponsor and I worked steps so and so many times. And again, I won't mention fellowship by name, but like in my mind, it was like, but I'm honest today, and I do all these. So
why is it not
Was
working?
was your sponsor? Hey, coming in. Hey.
So no. So by the time I went back out, well, I told I wasn't hiding it. Like I was like, no, I'm not. And I even convinced myself I wasn't an alcoholic. Like I had convinced myself, like I know I like can't shoot dope. But
this is okay.
But this is okay. Like I totally drink, right?
You don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question for you, Dan. I guess I got to ask it now. Is and I kind of agree with this. I don't smoke dope, but now, okay. when I said dope, I thought I meant marijuana. Now, when I said that to friends that were actually addicts, they said, "That's not dope, you idiot." I'm like, well, okay. I don't know what, but I smoked marijuana probably about 5 times when I was 16. And it wasn't for me because oddly enough, when I have anxiety, it made me effing paranoid.
Yeah.
And probably because it was trash. But anyhow, so I don't do it. I wish, but even I came from a conservative family where Parkinson's was a couple of one aunt, one uncle.
And that's supposed to be like a remedy for it.
That would have been great. My aunt said, I wish I'd have known this earlier. But the reason why I get around to this, I really don't have a problem. I tell you what, I take citrulline, which is Zoloft, and it just helps balance the chemicals in your brain. Jelly Roll was an addict and stuff and had problems, but he still does smoke. I don't really have a problem with that because I see it different than the booze. I think marijuana is much better than booze.
It's still an addiction, right, though? Kind of, yes.
Yeah. Well,
If you have to smoke marijuana every day, it's probably an
I'm
addiction.
actually so relieved that you brought up the Jelly Roll thing because, like, I have opinions, right? But
Yeah.
no. And I think
and you're probably not the only one.
Well,
and that's
I've read it.
This is a hard subject to talk,
it's not
to balance.
So it's not. And so and just like full disclosure, like I work in the alcohol and drug treatment field.
Yeah.
I see all different types. There is one type that cannot do any of those things, and that's the real alcoholic. There are other types of addicts, alcoholics in the world that are classed as hard drinkers. What does that mean? That means that given a sufficiently strong reason, they can stop or moderate on self-will. Right? These were the things I did not understand were actually wrong when I was sober the first time because nobody sat down and explained what was actually wrong with me, right? I thought like by doing all these things, it was somehow going to keep me sober. But what I didn't understand is that I had a spiritual, mine was contingent on my spiritual condition. What I have going on is internal. No amount of homelessness, none of all that stuff classified me as a real alcoholic. No external circumstances classed me in that small class, right? It has everything to do with an internal condition, which I believe only a spiritual solution will conquer, right? Like what will solve. And so the question at hand is that okay? Certainly. And here's why. Because he's likely not a real alcoholic.
I thought.
Yeah, I can buy that too.
And even though I couldn't word it right in because of my brain, I thought it's conditional on the person. Depends on which type, like you're talking about.
Right.
To me, it's the person.
I think it's rather damaging. And this is the small opinion that I have that I will share because it's something that
it matters.
It irks my nerves. I think it is rather damaging for him to go to treatment facilities and to share his story and to turn around in the same breath and say, but I still drink whiskey and I still smoke dope. Because what's going to happen is those people that are real alcoholic are going to say, me too one day.
I agree. I agree.
I agree with that. 100%.
Now, let me tell you, I met him a couple years ago, maybe it was a few years now, before he was with Shinedown, and it was we were backstage at the Dxllhxvse show, and I told this story before, but he was the most humble person in the world and understood exactly where he had been. Yeah. And had a great appreciation, like a freaking kid.
He's an ex-con. I mean, he's definitely been through some stuff.
He had bottom.
But like you said, I don't think he understands his problems.
I think he's probably a fantastic person. I have heard amazing things about him, but whether or not I'm a good person or not matters none when it comes to the disease of alcoholism. It matters not because there are tons of good people in the world that are just fantastic, great hearts, humble, have no idea they're fucking killing people.
Because it's misinformation for people who really need the right information.
Correct.
What are Jurassic Park 3? Some of the best intentions in the world have been made, whatever, some of the worst situations ever.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's true. I think each person is individually. None of us, when we were kids, we all thought we all came out the same Jello mode, but we didn't, man. Whether it's a brain chemically imbalanced, it's we're all different.
He's probably not a true alcoholic,
right? Yeah, because if you can stop or moderate, like you're just like totally cool with whatever, and like you're not fucking your life up over it, like more power to you. Like I want you to smoke weed. I want you to drink socially. I want you to be able to do those things. I don't wish this on anybody because it's painful. It's painful going through those motions and understanding, fuck, dude, like this is for good and for all. Like there's no chance. And I get that. I get prompted with that question often. I'm like a nail lady that's like, so you don't like ever like on the weekends? And I'm like, no, bitch, like I don't. Like, I don't know how to like explain this any
that
better.
on-off switch is like there's no catch on it. It just keeps falling down.
Like I don't like the reality is like it may not get me the first time, and it didn't when I went back out. It may not get me the second time, but there is going to come a time, right? Because it very clearly, I was taught that at certain times, right? It will catch up to me. Mm-hmm. I will wind up homeless again. I will wind up under a bridge. And that's exactly what my story was. So I started out drinking after definitely going back to crack first. I did that for like 2 weeks and then Matthew died. And that's the piece. I actually found him dead on my bedroom floor.
Wow.
I was able to do CPR, get one breath. And they Narcaned him enough, and he was in a coma for a while, and he was on dialysis and had kidney failure and what have you. And by the grace of God, he's here today. But then I was like, oh yeah, so like probably just drinking is like fine, you know. And I hid it from him for a long time. And part of my story, and I'm very open about this, and hopefully a listener will hear this and understand like this is definitely part of like our trash in our stories, but infidelity is definitely part of mine. And what I realized, so when I was 3 years sober, I was so miserable with myself because I was just like my aunt, that dry drunk, right? I was so miserable. This internal condition was so fucked. I was so miserable with myself that I began to cheat. I began to cheat to feel something. And in that, because it was safer, right? Like I wasn't going to lose my kids over that.
Right.
Right. And there was this big thing about not losing my kids. And that fear drove me for a long time until it didn't work anymore. And then I was eventually on crack and whatever. So there was some really dark times surrounding alcoholism and surrounding that relapse and some different things. And this went on for 2 years. And by the time it was at the end of it, I'm blackout drunk all the time. Matthew's blackout drunk all the time. And we have this bright idea that we're going to go to the strip club with my ex. And we're just going to do a shit ton of blow all night long.
I thought you promised it was all sunshine lollipops.
My God. It was, it was fantastic. So
Nobody's life is all sunshine.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Right.
No one's.
Right. So that was the last day. So my sobriety date is June 18th of 2020. That was the last day. Him and I both share the same sobriety date that we used or drank. I woke up the next morning. I had misgivings about the way in which I got sober the first time. I was not going back there. That shit didn't work. I wasn't fucking doing it. Right.
Yeah.
But I had friends from that fellowship that I still stayed in contact with. And I called one of the ladies and I was like, hey, like, I don't really know what to do and I don't really know where to go, but I know I don't want to fucking do this anymore and I'm ready to do something different. And so I went to her house and just sat with her for a long time. And she's somebody who's very near and dear to my heart. She's like a mom to me. And she was like, look, like, I really think you need to go back. And I'm like, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to do this shit. But I did. Mm-hmm. I went back and in the beginning, I almost walked down the same path. It was a close call. I almost accidentally walked down the same path. And I say accidentally because similar to what we're talking about with the jelly roll thing, there are a lot of people in 12-step fellowships that do not fucking belong there. That's the reality. When I say they don't belong there, you're welcome. The only desire for membership the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. But shut the fuck up. Don't tell me your experience because your experience is killing me. And that was the experience that I had the first 3 years. I didn't realize that I was in a damaging part of the fellowship. And I didn't know any better walking back in the second time and almost accidentally wound up doing the same thing, being taught the same thing. A friend of mine bullied me into asking this other chick to sponsor me. And I'm so grateful that I did. I called her and I was like, look, I don't fucking know you. I don't know if you have what I want. I don't even know if you know what the fuck you're talking about, but I'm fucking dying and I need help. And so this lady like says, cool, come to my house on Friday. And I went to her house and she spoke a language that I had never heard before. She showed me things about this disease that I did not know prior. It was like she was telling my story by reading a book. And I didn't know that those words were in that book. And I realized what was actually wrong and what I actually had to do, which was very little, mind you. So when we're talking about the disease of alcoholism, we're talking about, like, a lot of people think it's this like self-will, like you gotta just pick yourself up, motherfucker. If I could, because the reality is that I lost the power of choice. I'm going to do that shot of dope whether I want to or not. And I'm going to drink that drink whether I want to or not. Because my disease is of that nature. It's of that degree. And until there's some divine intervention, some gift of desperation in my life. And by the way, when I'm given that gift, I have a very, very small window of opportunity to act on it. Mm. And what does that look like? That looks like I am understanding that I am totally fucked. I am completely and utterly fucked unless I get a spiritual solution. Left to my own devices, I will drink again 1,000% of the time.
Is this your longest stretch?
Yeah.
So, and you know, I like the story because I've heard a S-ton, as we all have at this stage of our life. And yours is unique. And like I said, do you feel like that like each person, how their path and how they get there, what's the key for them is going to be just like any of it. It's going to be a little bit different, you know?
Yeah, I think we all come from, and that's the really cool thing about this fellowship that I'm in. Like, we all come from really different walks of life. I'm in this fellowship with high bottom people, like lawyers, doctors, all kinds of different things. Like no
one's immune to it.
No, nobody's immune to it. But we all share a common bond, right? We all relate in the sense that if I pick that shit up, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You know, we relate in the sense that we have that common bond, right? So, but we all come from very different walks of life. And the peace is God. And so when I say I had to do very little, I'm so grateful for that, for somebody telling me that I couldn't fucking do it. I'm so grateful for somebody telling me that my willpower wasn't going to keep me sober. No amount of time I had under my belt was going to be sufficient, that it had to be with God. I had to let God do the work. What I did was I showed up, put the footwork in. I got honest. I wrote, an inventory of my growths and handicaps. Yeah. I went and made amends. I had to get real gut wrenching honest about some shit that I had done. Right.
Yeah. Which everyone should do.
100%. Right.
Addict or not addict.
Yeah.
But
we should all be honest with ourselves.
When you notice the honesty part, well, when you do the honesty part, it's so much weight lifted off, then like yesterday, I mean, I won't say anything to anybody, but I won't ever say it behind it that I wouldn't say in front of their face too. And I just think, and just being honest up front, I think I learned this at I was about 19 years old. Finally, I learned that, hey, I don't have to carry all this goddamn weight or anything else behind me. Just honest up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but see that's the other piece for an alcoholic. It's not that I just want to go around lying and talking shit about you behind your back. The reality is that I lie to myself.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I live in such a large level of fucking delusion. I will convince myself of any and everything. I swear to God, I will. And so based on that fact alone, I am now lying to you too.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of delusion going around.
Yeah. And
the world.
So, right. And so, and I'm acting on things because I don't really have this choice in the matter. Like, I am so selfish and self-centered that my whole world revolves around, how do I feel better? How do I get to feeling better? Right. And so there's just a lot that went in a 6-week period of time, because I did this process in 6 weeks. But at the end of that 6 weeks, what that looked like is I was turning around and I was giving it away. And I was working with women, and I was.
And this is through the fellowship?
I was working with other women. And I was still kind of miserable, but not like spiritually miserable. For the first time in my life, I'm like, holy fuck. And like, I just want to like touch on, I respect mental illness. And I respect that there are a lot of folks in this world that are on antidepressants or antipsychotics or whatever, right? And I believe in them, and I believe they work for some folks. My experience was not that. My experience was when I was sober that first time, I had a sponsor tell me, diagnosed me bipolar. I don't know where the fuck she went to medical school, but she decided I was bipolar. But because I was so miserable, I was willing to listen to anything at this point. I was like, well, fuck, you stay sober. So maybe you're onto something here.
Maybe you know.
Yeah. So I went to a doctor who didn't really take very much time to diagnose me. She, in fact, talked the whole time. She didn't get any background on me, nothing. And there I was with bipolar medication.
Yeah.
The bipolar medication actually made me bipolar, threw me into manias, which is around the time that the infidelity and all those different things started, right? I certainly don't blame the meds on that. I certainly blame alcoholism and my lack of willingness to get connected to a higher power at that time. But I say all of that to say that when I got sober this time, it was relieved. All of the insanity, all of the craziness, all of the just empty, gut-wrenching, it was gone. It was like I was fucking free. And there could be all kinds of bad shit going on around me. What I always thought sobriety was this white-knuckling act where it's like, we better not go into a bar and better not be around drinking. You know, like I always thought it was going to be this thing. And the reality is I don't actually deal with any of that. That's cool. Totally cool with like whatever. It doesn't bother me because God removed the obsession from me to drink or use.
So now you're content.
Totally content, right? And so over this past 4 years recovery, what that's looked like, I was mentioning that I was kind of miserable. I couldn't, it's like this job thing of mine was like, I just could not figure out where I fit.
Yeah.
I did roofing with Matthew for a while. And then I was like, you know what? I really want my own business because I just like don't do well with authority. I've come to realize. But I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm really good at furniture. I had a furniture restoration business for a while and it was not successful.
It's hard. Hard business.
So hard. I was a one-man show. And I went a little stir crazy. I was in my garage for way too many hours by myself. And so I wound up going to therapy because I was like, I think something's wrong. But what it was is I was not fulfilling whatever my purpose is supposed to be. And I was running from it. And something wound up happening where I was like, you know what? I really want to work in the drug and alcohol treatment field. And I took a job that I hated. I got into a place that I fucking hated. I was doing admissions, and the reason I hated it was because I wasn't in direct care. I'm just like over the phone with these people who are either hammered drunk or totally high and cannot tell you what their insurance information is or whatever. Cause like we've all been there, like as addicts, like we've all been there, whatever. I'm totally not knocking them. It just wasn't for me. But by the grace of God, somebody had listened to a podcast I had done, and like, and I don't know, is it like cool to like shout out that podcast?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
okay,
we definitely
always.
Yeah, so it's Relevant Recovery Radio. It's by Heather and Donnie, and I've done their podcast a couple of times, and they're real special to my heart. But somebody had listened to an episode that I had done at the place where Heather actually works, and it was her boss, and wound up saying, man, I want her to come in. I want to give her a job. And I was really supposed to just decorate their offices. But then she was like, no, you're going to work here. Like I went to meet her to decorate her offices and she was like, no, like God told me you're going to work here. And I've been there ever since.
That's awesome.
And so I'm a recovery coach today. I yell at people. I teach book. I'll just call it book. And yell at people. And it's like my favorite job in the whole world.
So what is this place called?
Matthew's Hope.
Oh,
Matthew's
cool.
Hope Foundation.
Do they still tell people that you're full of shit? Is that still a big player?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I get the freedom to do that. So like, because I'm not an LCDC, because I'm not like credentialed in that way, a recovery coach, like I have some freedom being a recovery coach where I get to be on a different level with them if they're receptive, right? And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're like totally shut down. And again, I meet a lot of people. Some people don't qualify to be in that realm of recovery, and
Yeah,
that's
like you said,
okay.
some people don't belong there. Yeah.
100%, right?
I think that's good. And I don't know anything about their setup, but yeah, I think having a good director, being able to put, okay, this is going to work for this person and this, that's definitely.
Is that in Houston?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Houston.
So we used to have a detox inside of St. Joseph's Hospital, which was an interesting time. And St. Joseph's Hospital closed down their behavioral health wing. And so that meant we went with it. So right now we're just a wellness clinic. So I also do something pretty neat. It's called Dxllhxvse. It's microcurrent neurofeedback. And so I'm like sticking electrodes to people's heads and like working with the brain and doing some pretty dope stuff.
That's cool.
But in that I get to also coach people when they come in. So I'm like doing a coaching session at the same time that I'm doing the Dxllhxvse. We are located at 290 and 610, right outside of the loop there. But it's a pretty cool modality. I've seen some pretty neat things happen with it. So I get to not just work in recovery, but I also get to work with people that are not in recovery that have other issues going on. So I have a guy that comes in, and I can actually share a story because he did a testimony video for us, and it's really neat. But he had a double stroke, and he was paralyzed. He could not walk. His speech was impaired. Like he had a lot of different things going on because of this stroke, and he is driving, walking.
Wow.
All of the things, right? Dxllhxvse is just a tool. It's not a cure-all, and in fact doesn't treat anything. It just detoxes your brain. Your brain does all the work and heals the central nervous system in your body. And as I'm like talking about this, I'm just like reflecting where it's like, dude, I was a fucking homeless junkie under a bridge, and I legit sit in executive meetings today. I'm a
Did you ever think these things were possible?
No.
Yeah.
You're intelligent, though. I can hear you talk.
I know, and I have in full disclosure, I have a 10th grade education level. Like
you're still, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I grew up on the wrong side of the tracks. I grew up in the hood. Like this is not certainly.
You're a good speaker, though.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, who was responsible for pushing who?
Wait, in terms of what?
Like, who was to get your life in order? Who had to end up doing it? Which person here, not the one above?
Oh, it wasn't him.
No, it's you. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It certainly wasn't him.
No.
Matthew rides my coattail.
No, look, I don't blame you, dude, because I always said that, the wife will tell me she knows a little bit of my track record.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
long one.
the ones that are trouble, they're always fun. That's fun. That's a fun ride for a while, but you don't want to stay there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It turns into self-destruction, though.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I think like with everything, I'm very big about not taking any credit for any of the things. I am very, very mindful of the fact that people don't understand this oftentimes when I say this, but I do not deserve the life that I have today. I don't deserve it. And people are like, well, but you do. And I'm like, but the thing is that it's a gift. It was given to me, right? Like the track record I have, that I should be dead. Like I should be dead right now, right? Like I don't, but like God saw fit to give me this chance, to place me in a position to be 110% reliant upon him, right? Because if there's ever a time, I will say this, if there's ever a time that I start to think that I can fucking do it on my own, he lets me know real quick how that's going to go. Because my way doesn't work. My way
so you self-reflect a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah. And being in the recovery field, I think like I reflect probably more often than, your next average Joe.
Because you're constantly reminded, right?
It's a constant.
Yeah, it's all around you.
It's always, what I would like to do ideally. I love what I do for a living and I think it's great, but ideally what I would really love to do is street ministry. What I would really love to do is go under the bridges and serve those folks.
Full circle.
Yeah, because
that's cool.
It again, homelessness is like it's such a unique realm of life, and there are a lot of people that go out there as churches. There's Star of Hope. There's great resources to that degree, but like people with actual experience don't ever go out there.
It's funny that you. The ironic funny, not the but it's I watch a lot of YouTube at night and just off of my pad, and I want to say it was Frontline, PBS Frontline, that did a documentary, and it was people under the bridge, and they would go. You were telling me that you were telling your story, and they would go and they'd hold the sign up, and this is why I will give to a shelter, but I will not give to a person on the street, and I just won't do it. And I'm not just going to keep paving the way for that, And I don't know, like as always, the bad apple spoils it for everybody else. But they were there and they were getting that, and then they'd get their money, then they'd go with another guy and they'd go get their fix wherever they were getting from. Then they'd take the little pipe and yeah.
The reality is I encourage everybody to stop giving money to the homeless because you're keeping them sick longer. You don't realize that you're actually hurting them. Now, Matthew and I have been guilty of going back because there were men that I lived under that bridge with that would have laid their lives down for me when I was out there. There were men that I hold very near and dear to my heart. There's one man in particular that I still will go out there at the drop of a dime should he ever say that he wants something different. And so there were times we went out there, I bought them cigarettes, I gave them money because I was homeless with them. I am very aware that they are not ever getting off the street, right?
Yeah.
They will die out there.
Some people you just know,
Some people you just know. So there was this kind of like this appreciation period where it was like, I'm doing okay. I'm going to go to these people that I actually know, right? But outside of that, I encourage everybody to stop giving money to the homeless because you are keeping them sick longer. They are hungry. Feed them.
Yeah.
Give them
that's
food.
a good idea.
Give them food.
A coat.
Give them socks. Give them water. Socks.
Yeah,
A1. You ever want to do anything for homeless people? Give them socks.
Yeah.
Like that's like number one. But yeah, like it's something that I know that God's pulling me in this direction, and it's becoming more and more clear to me that at some point in my life, I think that I am, even if it's like starting like a 501c3 of some kind of people that have actually lived in homelessness. Cause like there was like this job listing not long ago that I applied, just because I wanted to see, and it was not because I was leaving my job, but because I wanted to see if they were serious. The qualifications they were asking for this position to literally go under the bridge and deal with the homeless and all this was like bachelor's degree and all this stuff. And I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind because they are not going to respond to those people.
Well, they're out of their league, really.
Right?
They don't understand it.
They didn't understand you had a under the bridge degree already.
Yeah, right. And so
exactly.
I just wanted, like, I was just out of curiosity, but of course, like I didn't meet the qualifications and I knew that, but like out of curiosity, it was like, I wonder. So I just sent it in just to see. And no, of course not. And I'm like, you guys have no idea.
What it actually qualifies.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have some guidance. There's some structure that needs to be put on it. But as far as
running the facility or the 501.
For someone,
taxes,
for
someone, like that,
there's someone that can tell you, this is going to be a better way to guide it.
Boots on the ground people that you need real people that can connect.
People that understand, that have real experience with it, that can get on that level with them.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, the amount of people that came out there to try to help Matthew and I that had zero experience, the only reason that we connected with the folks that we went with is because of that couple that I saw at the stoplight. They had been homeless. They had been where we had been. And that was the only reason I responded to them. But that's just the truth of it. Like I didn't, because I think in my mind, it was like, I don't think you have the first fucking clue what you're getting yourself into. Like, I don't think you actually understand that I am a fucking junkie.
Well, they don't look at you the same either, right?
Right.
I mean,
like
the judgment.
And I'll steal your shit. Like, I don't think you understand like what you're getting yourself into, and you think you're being helpful, but you're truly not.
Yeah.
And God, bless their heart. Like, I love that for them. And I love that people are, taking this leap of faith and trying to be helpful. But I just think there is just this.
They don't understand those demons.
No, and there's just this lack of. There's this lack of help on the end of like people with experience. Like, why the fuck are you not giving?
Yeah, because sterility. The sterility of and the clinically of a clinicality of some professional that doesn't have that on the boots. I've been there, done that, got my hands dirty. it's a much different thing, you know.
Yeah.
So how do people wind up at your facility for help?
So currently, it used to be because our detox, so they would funnel
Okay.
through the detox and then come
And that's
with
all
us.
your insurance funded or state funded?
So, well, the detox was, but then the recovery support thereafter was free. We offered it to people for free for
Oh, wow.
2 years because we are a 501c3.
Okay.
Currently, though, because we're just a wellness clinic, our services are cash pay.
Okay.
They're not terribly priced, but they are cash pay. We
Yeah.
are in the process of getting another detox. It's just taking longer than we had anticipated. And that's
so
where
you'll have what you call beds available?
we will, yes.
Okay.
Once that opens back up. But at this current moment, that's just kind of where it's at. We're
Red
just,
red tape.
Yeah.
Red tape's fun, huh?
yeah.
Well, expensive.
Yeah, it's like and it sucks because it's like, gosh, that's where my heart and soul is. I love me a good fresh junkie, right? Day one off of dope. Oh, I love it. They'll cut you out so fast. It's amazing.
Now let me ask you that. Like, where the drunk will get the shakes and the detox, for X one. Is it the same on the on other drugs and stuff like that?
Oh, I imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah. So
In the hospital, I was coming off of fentanyl, and it was
It's
brutal.
the worst. Dope.
It was so
yeah,
horrible.
the dope sick that you. Well, have you guys ever seen Dope Sick?
Yeah, I was saying
I've never
Dope Sick.
had.
Isn't that a band or that's also
I've never
a show,
seen
huh?
that.
So Dope Sick is the OxyContin people.
Yeah.
Okay. So it shows. It kind of gives you kind of like this depiction of like what coming off of opiates looks like, but it is the most miserable
It's
thing
miserable.
that there ever was. You will not die from it. Like you'll die. You
feel like you're dying.
You feel like you're dying. You can die from Xanax, like detox. You can die from alcohol. You're not going to die from opiate withdrawal. You will feel like you're dying.
So basically, that's based on the Purdue Pharma type
Mm-hmm.
push it. Okay,
But you can die from alcohol
100%.
withdrawals, right?
100%. Yes.
So y'all have a doctor on
Yeah.
staff?
So we were a medical detox. So, and thankfully,
Okay.
like we were inside of a hospital. So we had nurses.
Oh, yeah,
hospital
available.
staff.
Yeah.
We were capable of doing IVs. We were, capable of all of those things. So, but yeah, like that detox is, listen, and it lasts for, I'd say the physical part lasts for about 2 weeks, but
Wow.
like you have insomnia, like you're not sleeping for at least a week because you have to think it's like almost like the opposites. Like when you're on heroin, like nodding off everywhere, you're like
Yeah.
asleep all the time. It's amazing. And then on the flip side of that,
noted.
yeah. And then on the flip
Not
side,
amazing,
yeah,
people.
like on the flip side of that, it's you're like your body's like, what the fuck have you been doing to me?
Yeah.
Your receptors are totally jacked.
I've felt that before.
Oh yeah, it is the worst. And so, yes, there's the medical detox, but there is medically assisted treatment, which I don't support. I'm very firm on that. I'm abstinence based, and I will always support abstinence based because I believe that things like Suboxone lead you back no matter what because you're still in.
Still have that trace in your system.
100%. You're still high.
I've seen
you're still
I've
high,
seen
yeah.
that like
I agree with that.
I've seen people in those situations where they keep going in like they're going in and get their meds, but wait, this person's back and having trouble exit. So yeah, they must. In my head, I'm linking a problem to it.
Yeah.
Did you see The Pharmacist?
No.
It came out in 2020 during the COVID, and
I was drunk in 2020.
I know. You got a better experience. No, but it was the first thing I saw about the big pharma thing, and it was a druggist in Louisiana, and he ended up losing his son, and he followed the thing, and that led to a couple different things that are on Netflix now that are like further than that. But yeah, I've seen it, man. It touches one part of a family, and there's some parts of families over there that it's killed off.
Yeah.
In the same generation, at least 4 people. I'm like, God damn, man. You expect one here or like somebody I don't know. No, it's taken out. And then not only that 4, then you've got, like you were talking about, family members.
Oh yeah, it affects everybody.
There's
That's what I'm
family.
saying.
There's family members over there. This woman's in her 70s. I think she's a saint. She's raising like 3 kids that are 4 kids now that are under. I think the oldest might be 12 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the parents are just.
That's the world we live in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
has
and
to be.
it's 10 times worse now because of the fentanyl epidemic, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
see, like Matthew and I quit using heroin right before fentanyl became a thing. And I'm so grateful because I would be dead 1000%.
Yeah,
Because shit, we were homeless. Like they would have given us anything and we would have never known the difference, right? There's like all these like people now that I come into contact with, they like test their heroin and I'm like, what the fuck even is that? Like I didn't even have a phone to call my dope dealer. Like I don't know what that's about. But the fentanyl epidemic is so and so it's odd because like when we look at the classes of, and I use the phrase alcoholic, like a lot of people are like, well, what's, if you used heroin, you're an addict. And it's like, yeah, cool. But like I qualify as alcoholic. And so I use the phrase alcoholic. But when we're talking about the classes of drinkers, right? The real alcoholic, the moderate drinker, and the hard drinker. I lost my train of thought.
But it's so,
so the fentanyl thing, it's like, man, they were just struggling for so long. No, they did fentanyl once and they fucking died.
Yeah,
that's usually what happened. So it doesn't mean that we are like overpopulated with like the real alcoholic running around, right? Like back in the day when heroin was just heroin, no one was really fucking dying. And that's the truth of it.
Yeah.
Like no one was really dying back then, but people are dying today because of the additives, like the shit that they're putting in.
Mixing. Yeah.
Now was Purdue, was it fentanyl?
They were Oxycontin.
Oxycontin.
They were Oxycontin.
But then when they cut that out, then people said, well, let's go to this and this. And they went hardcore. And that's where.
100%. And and you can put like, I mean, I'm talking like the salt, a grain of salt in that shit. I mean, and it's like, I know a girl that had a friend that bought marijuana and I want to say it was like the wax shit, like the pen, but bought like whatever, the little, whatever you put in it. I don't know. I wasn't like a huge pot smoker, but she bought marijuana and it had fentanyl in it. She died.
Yeah.
It killed her.
Terrible.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about.
So best policy is just don't do drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know.
And like I said, where I would like to see marijuana legalized, main reason why is because I like to see it done like those brothers in Colorado where it's engineered for certain things and it can really be helpful. But
so for medicinal purposes, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
and don't get me wrong, like I support the marijuana community. I think that is fantastic. I've got a good friend of mine who actually works in that industry. A good friend of mine in Matthews. My kids smoke pot. I think it makes my daughter real fucking normal. I just want to say, like, I don't, and I say my kids. My kids are adults.
Yeah.
But I don't have any qualms with marijuana. I think that it has treated and helped so many people. I think cancer patients it helps. I think some like medical stuff I have seen. So I support it and I don't care, right? Like I'm not the person in recovery like turning my nose up
You're
to
not
like
the drug police.
No,
Yeah.
I don't care. I support it 110%. And I think some people genuinely need it. I think that there are some people that are autistic that would benefit greatly from marijuana maintenance. I think that I've just seen some really incredible progress with certain things, and I like some holistic. I love medicine. I was going to go to school to be a nurse, but I do like holistic stuff, and I think that marijuana is a fantastic tool. And so, I mean, being in recovery, like I want to like stress this that like we are not a glum lot, like we just aren't like. There are some people that have no fucking clue. They're me when I was 3 years sober the first time. They have no idea that there's this other life, but like we're fun people. I go to concerts, I go to music venues, just some pretty shady shit that most people would think, oh my God, you're in recovery. Isn't that like a trigger?
Yeah, you can even work at you can even work at a bar.
Yeah, Matt works at a bar and he's totally cool.
It's like there's no such thing. Once you have passed into this realm of freedom and have this ultimate reliance on God, there is no such thing as triggers.
So God has made you content is what you're saying.
100%.
Yeah.
I could not have done this without, like, God made all of this possible. Yeah. I'm just like this person that's like, yo, like, what's up, dude? What do I do today? Like, how do I get aligned with your will? And some days are better than others. I'm still a psychopath, right? Like, I'm still selfish. I'm still like, crazy.
Well, you're
Yeah.
still female.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
man.
I apologize.
But contentment is peace. You know?
Yeah, there's
what
a
it is,
level
yeah.
of peace. Like things go wrong in my life.
In everyone's life.
1000%. We
Yeah.
are not out here just we're not out here walking on fucking sunshine. Shit goes wrong in my life all the time.
But now you're better capable of handling your problems.
Yeah, I
Your
don't.
coping skills are
Yeah.
better.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
and I see, and I don't believe it's all clinical terms, and I'm just like, fuck coping skills. But that's just like, it's a big thing. The deal is like when shit happens, I don't think, gosh, a drink would sound really good right now.
Well, now you turn to God, right?
Like I don't.
So
It's not a thought. Like it doesn't happen. It's so not a thought to the point that like Matthew and I were sitting in bed the other night, and he goes, "Do you miss heroin?"
wow.
It's like ever.
Do you?
And I'm like,
No, wait. Was he talking?
yeah.
Was he
Here's the deal. I'm not gonna knock heroin, and I'm not gonna knock alcohol. I motherfucking love that shit. Do not get it twisted. Like I am a recovered alcoholic today that can wholeheartedly admit, like, I love me a good pain pill. I love me some heroin. 1000%. I don't hate that shit. It was my solution.
Yeah.
I have always been the problem. The alcohol being there, not the problem. The drugs being there, not the problem. It's me.
So was Matt reflecting?
Yeah.
I think.
Matt,
Yeah.
Matt, you
Oh,
know
yeah.
what? Matt, you could have said, "Hey, do you ever miss heroin?" And she said, "What the hell are you talking about?" You said, No, I meant Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think my response to him was like, I don't remember. I think I was like, no, but I like sometimes miss crack. I think that's what I told him.
Yay.
And so like, it's this life that like I did not know. Like the son that I did not get back. I'm in the middle of fighting for supervised visits with him, even though he's 16. I do pay child support for him. I
Yeah,
pay child support for a kid that I cannot see. My girls are great. They're adults now. I'm a grandma, about to be a 2-time grandma.
Yes.
So that's like super exciting. So like this life, there's all these blessings. And like the coolest part is that I get to live, right? Like I get to
you're still
live.
here.
I get to be a part of that. I get to be present. I get to show up. Like my granddaughter is identical to my daughter. And this probably will like bring me to tears, but
That's
like
awesome. Yeah, because you get to relive.
I get to be present.
Second chance.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get to be present for the things that I don't remember with my
Yeah.
daughter.
Right.
And it's like, it's like that full circle where it's like, man, this is really cool. And like, I have a relationship with my kids today where like my daughter that has my granddaughter, she'll call, I love her. Okay. She calls me all the time, but she calls me.
That's
She
cool.
wants my advice. She wants to know like,
Well, she knows you've been there, so
yeah, like she wants to know what I think about things and like, and
you're qualified.
dude. And like, and I've breezed through this story, but man, I was a fucking terrible mother. Fucking
Yeah.
terrible.
But guess what?
right?
You never thought you were capable. You never thought, yeah, you had it in you the whole time.
Yeah.
You just had to find your key.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, but this is who I am in God. Like me, like my natural state.
But it's incredible now that you can be here for your kids,
Yeah.
your grandkids, and for other people who are struggling with what you've been through.
Yeah. Like
That's pretty big testimony.
experience is everything, I think. And man, like this is just the beginning. Like I don't pay any attention to the time that I have. I think 4 years is fucking nothing. You know, like the anniversary comes around and I'm like, cool.
What's next?
Yeah. What's
Yeah.
next, man? Like,
You think maybe you'll forget that anniversary eventually?
Matthew's never fucking known it. No, probably not. Probably not. But he doesn't. He'll ask me, like, oh, what's our sobriety date? I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why? It's like, that's pretty important to remember.
I don't know. Maybe it's good you kind of let it go a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I
Don't
think
focus on it too much.
His whole thing is we both did. We were both guilty of this. When we were sober the first time, we both focused on it entirely too much, where it was like, that's all, because it's all we had. It's like,
You think it's kind of like beating yourself up though over and over?
no, I mean, I think it was more like look at me, I have a year.
Pounding
Look at
your
me.
chest.
Yeah. It was like this, like, because it's all the fuck I had. I certainly wasn't helping anybody.
Yeah.
I was going into meetings and dumping all my shit on the ground and expecting other people to pick it up. I utilized that place as group therapy, which it certainly is not. Like, I didn't have anything to like bring to the table. I couldn't tell you how I did it because I don't fucking know.
Well,
I
now
don't
you do.
know. Yeah. And now,
Now you do.
it's a
Cool.
lot different where it's like the time is like, whatever, man. Like, it's a gift and I'm so
Yeah,
grateful
you've definitely
for it.
gotten a
Like,
gift.
yeah, like I'm super grateful for it, but it's not like the focus of my existence, you
Yeah.
know? So
That's
yeah.
kind of
That's
like our policy yesterday.
Because then you let yourself live, you know.
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
talking about that yesterday. That we've gotten more in life that we deserve and could ever give back.
yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of good philosophy in life because who knows what's next? It just
Yeah.
every day's a new day.
Yeah.
You were talking about what we were talking about earlier about how you don't look at things like what was that word I used that you kind of came back at me because it didn't work for you.
Oh, like self-will.
Well, no, when I say like how coping skills.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
coping
But you
skills.
know what my
Yeah.
coping skill, my coping skill is this. It's this simple. I tell anybody, if you're doing something with me, a project, you don't have to be exact. Just give me a ballpark. I want a ball. My life, for me, this is how I do it. Life is a ballpark. 95% of the time it's going to fall in that ballpark. The 5% it don't, I can deal with because I've kept everything else in that fence.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. My coping skill is prayer, meditation.
Well, that's
Oh,
cool.
God.
Doing the next
that's-
right thing.
and that's-
Helping
yeah,
others.
And if
that's-
that
yeah,
works, then that's all you need. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Which is like because I think so. My issue with the coping skill, and I'll just briefly tell you, but my issue with the coping skills is that it teaches the alcoholic that they have the ability. Suddenly, they've got the power.
You don't want to go there.
What the fuck? Because they don't like playing the tape through. What the fuck? What do you mean? I played it through a million times. I still got fucking loaded.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. Like, oh my gosh, if I use this drug, this is what's going to happen. Or like the people with the DWIs. You think they don't fucking know that they're going to get pulled over and go to jail for that after drinking that much? You think they don't fucking know? They do it anyways.
They do it anyway.
Right? So
$10,000.
the idea of like having these things put in place is fucking bizarre to me, where it's like, no. Do you get up and talk to God in the morning? Are you hitting your knees? Are you seeing what you can do for others? And are you praying for others? Are you selfishly praying or are you praying for others? What does that look like? What's your prayer life? Have you enlarged your spiritual life? That's your coping skill because that's going to be your solution every single time.
And I call that my foundation.
Yep.
Because that's
Yeah.
what everything that I've ever had in my life is built upon that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's very strong to me. I don't ever try and tell somebody else how they should worship or anything like that, but I tell them, for me, that's everything. You see me doing this or this, doing that, it's all because of this.
Yeah.
And I
So
did
if people
nothing.
need to get help and they want to come to you for help, how can they do that? How do they get in touch with you?
If people reach out to you guys and need help, you are always welcome to give them my phone number.
Cool.
I will take anybody's call. My literature in this fellowship tells me that I am going to be inconvenienced, but I get to be.
Nice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Very
Thanks
cool.
so much for joining today. This
Thank you
was
guys for having me.
excellent.
great,
And if
yeah.
you ever have any
Thanks
new
for sharing your
projects,
story.
yeah, if you ever have any new projects that come up, please let us know. We'll be more than welcome to have
Sure
y'all
will.
on.
I sure will.
I
Thank
could-
you guys.
I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to rip into y'all after I found out. I was like, oh my God, man.
He was very excited about this.
Yeah, I was,
podcast.
and I knew that this podcast would last longer because I was like, oh, this is going to be some good content. If she's got, at least if she comes over here and she's real polite and stuff, it might last 20 minutes. But no, if she's got some good stories, it's going to be
And
better.
if your facility ever does any kind of fundraising, socks or anything like that, just let us know.
Yeah.
We'd like to help.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I sure will. I
we can
appreciate
do that, and I'm also involved with another company that we can do things every once in a while too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope. All
Be
right.
awesome. Well,
Thank
it's
you.
good having you.
Yeah,
Thank you guys
And-
so much. I appreciate it. It was an honor.
everybody, thanks for joining us on the Nonsense Chronicles. Please like and subscribe.
Later.